Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much for joining in for today's class. We'll be starting right away. Welcome to class. For the mentees that are already here, please, I would like to ask that we reach out to our co-mentees in our subgroup so that we can have more people joining because we'll be starting right now. Like we'll be starting right now. So please, if you can, do well to reach out to your co-mentees because we'll be starting now. So I want to say a big welcome to class to everyone. Right, welcome to week 4 of the JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program. Week 4 of the JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program, Medical Health Tech and Law. Right, we will be discussing e-health. We'll be discussing e-health tech, and I trust we'll be having a wonderful time in class today. So not to waste any further time, just to brief us on the agenda, we will be taking presentations from the mentees. So please, group 1 and group 2, get ready for your presentation immediately after this introduction. And then Mr. Ebenezer, who is already on the call, thank you so much, sir, for joining. We're happy to have you in class. Will help us run through feedbacks and his discourse for today. We'll take questions, we'll take pictures, and then we'll call it a day. So yeah, let's get straight to the business of today. I'll stop sharing my slides, my screen. Presenter for group 1, if you're on call, please, would like to take your presentation now.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, I'm the presenter for group 1.
Hello, presenter Oluwafisayomi. I hope I got the name correctly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. You are going to present group 2. We present in between. I will take maybe 15 maximum or maximum 20 minutes. Someone is coming to see me. When the person comes, maximum 20 minutes, I'll be back. I hope we are done with the presentations before then, so that if I come back, we just discuss the questions. Okay, please proceed. Thank you.
All right, sir. So, come in. So yeah, the topic for today is medical telemedicine adoption and usage patterns. But before
sorry, before you go ahead, you are meant to share your screen and not your video. But if you need help with that, I can help you with that.
Okay, I shared my screen earlier. I'm coming. Let me start again.
Okay.
Hello, Dennis. How many people are supposed to be in this class? I'm only seeing 9.
We're supposed to have about 20 people.
So where are the rest? We are not even up to half. In fact, -2. So they are not up to half. Where are the rest?
I will keep reaching out to them, sir, so that we can have more people joining.
Okay. You may proceed, presenter.
Okay. Mr. Williams, sir, please, can you help me with the sharing of my screen? I don't know. I keep on having issue with it here. Or maybe I don't know how to. Or...
Right. You said that's for group 1, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So can I go ahead?
Just start off with your introduction. I'll soon be bringing up your screen.
Okay, so the topic is telemedicine adoption and usage pattern. So this is 21st century. Everywhere is going. The world is going digital. So we don't have to limit ourselves to the traditional ways of doing things. And now we have, even in law, we have emerging areas like tech law. So, and this is not just limited to law alone, including the medical and health aspects. All areas are moving digital, and recently we've been having debates all over the around the world about AI even taking over some people's job and all that. That's to show that everywhere is going digital now, and most people are now adopting the use of technology in their day-to-day activities. So now, what is telemedicine? So telemedicine is just to put it simply, just the usage of ICT to provide healthcare services virtually. That is, you don't have to go for consultation physically. You don't have to go to hospitals. You can just pick up your phone with any medical health medicine app. You can just download on your Play Store or your App Store and then have a conversation with the doctor virtually, and then you get your consultation, you get your advice, you get and everything that you need. So you don't have to like go to the hospital physically. So that is just the meaning of telemedicine. Is the use of ICT, information communication and technology, to provide healthcare services virtually or remotely. So the World Health Organization and also the Code of Medical Ethics by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria has actually provided some definitions of telemedicine. So the World Health Organization defines telemedicine as a provision of health services by health professionals, where distance is a critical factor, using information and communication technologies to exchange valid information for the purpose of diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of disease and injuries, research and evaluation, and to facilitate the continued education of health professionals. Just to put it in simpler terms, it's just that the use of information and communication technology to provide healthcare services virtually, like I already explained earlier. So we have two types of telemedicine. We have the store and forward form, and then we have the real-time form. Store and forward form is where your medical information are stored and used by a medical practitioner, while the real-time form is where you can just easily chat with a doctor, with a nurse, or any medical practitioners virtually, and you get your diagnosis or you get your consultation. And for instance, for we females, there's something called MyFlow, which is a period app tracker. So you can just, there's a chat box in that MyFlow. You can just click on the chat box, talk to the AI chatbots, and then you get your period tracker and anything you need about any information you need about your period as a female, you can easily get it. So MyFlow app is a definition of telemedicine. Is a real-time form. Let me put it that way. So we have factors influencing the adoption of telemedicine among different demographics and regions. Factors include age. So it is stated here that older adults tend to use telemedicine more than younger people. This is because they often have more health needs and find it useful to avoid hospital visits. For instance, now, when in Nigeria, when you get to a certain age and then you started falling sick every now and then, people will see it as old age sickness. So the older people, the elderly ones, need to make use of telemedicine app often because of their because they tend to they are prone to sickness, let me put it that way. And then we have gender. Women generally use telemedicine more than men, often because they handle more family health responsibilities. An example of that is the MyFlow app that I used as an example earlier. And then apart from that, family planning, a lot of things surrounding women's health, and you can't be going to the hospitals every now and then to get consultation about your body and all that. So this the use of technology is a big help to that. And then we have income and education. So people with higher income are more likely to use telemedicine. They usually have better access to internet, smartphone, and knowledge to use them. Exactly. You cannot expect an illiterate to know what MyFlow app is. An illiterate does not even know how to track his or her period as a female. So people that are well educated, people that are stable financially, because they can able to access data, they can able to find their way around the interface of these medical apps better than those that are not that educated and than those that are not stable financially, because they were having data issue and all that. So then we have location. City dwellers are more likely to use telemedicine than rural residents. This is because rural areas often lack strong internet services and healthcare facilities, which is just the absolute truth. For example, in Nigeria, the villages and yes, our villages always have network problem. So somebody that stay in the village, we have problem using this telemedicine apps and all that, mainly because of internet issue. So we have race and ethnicity as well. So in some regions, especially in the US, racial and ethnic minorities have slightly lower usage, often due to economical access barrier. Same thing in Nigeria too. People that are living in the village, people that are living in the towns, they will have access barrier compared to people that are living in Abuja, in Lagos, maybe in Port Harcourt as well. So now regional trends. We have North America. So telemedicine grew quickly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Big cities and areas with strong internet and supportive policies have the highest adoption. And this is not even limited to North America alone. Nigeria as well. During COVID-19, I think Nigeria started adopting the use of technology to provide healthcare service because of the lockdown issue. And then one example of that is I don't think Nigerians have an app to actually monitor that, but I'm going to use that as an example. For example, Lassa fever outbreak. So I have a sister that works with the Ministry of Health, and once there is a Lassa fever outbreak, they have to they have to ask the patients who are the names and contacts of those the patients were in contact with last and all that, so that they will be able to call the patient, people, you are in contact with this also person, we need you to come to our facility and all that. Yes, tracker. They can easily get to know those who and the contact of those the patients have were contacts in last, something like that. So then Europe, most countries now use telemedicine, but adoption varies. Northern and Western Europe are ahead, while some struggle due to weak infrastructure and digital skills. Same is applicable to Nigeria, to Asia, Africa, etc. So we have barriers to access and acceptance. We have internet and devices, which I already explained earlier. Digital literacy, people that are well educated will be able to find their way around the interface of this app, compared to those that are not that educated. They will be able to they are privy to information better than those that are not educated. So we have cultural beliefs. Some people would have issues believing anything that comes from their phone. They have to go for physical consultation before they will, oh, it is true, before they can actually believe. So cultural belief is actually there. Some people believe that any information given to them by this medical app and all that are fake. So they have to get a physical consultation with the doctors. So regulation and policy too. So some countries are having issue with regulating this telemedicine app. For example, the issue of data privacy, because medical records of patients are supposed to be confidential. So if we are now adopting medical apps and all that to provide healthcare services remotely, then the issue of data privacy will surface. And what is Nigeria doing about it? What are other countries doing about this issue of data privacy? I think for the USA, they have something like the JIIPCC, and then in Nigeria, we have a data privacy law. But how effective? The question is, how effective are these laws? Then we have the cost. We have data devices and equipment can be expensive for low-income families, which I already explained earlier. So data security and privacy in health legal framework and effectiveness. So we have the World Health Organization, which is a global framework. Anything that is used with health, the first thing that comes to our mind is the World Health Organization. So we have the European Union, we have the United States JIIPCC, which I already said earlier, and then we have the Nigeria NDPR or the NDPA. So these are the legal frameworks that protect privacy of patients. So we have security measures, and so what are the security measures that we can actually take in order to ensure that privacy of patients, medical record of patients remain confidential? So we have to there's something called encryption, multi-factor authentication. For, I don't know if you are all familiar with this, our WhatsApp, there's something called is it two verification or authentication in order to protect your WhatsApp from hackers and all that. So if they adopt the use of multi-factor authentication, encryption, role-based access, audit logs, and all that. It's going to like help secure patients' medical record. And then we have organization, privacy policies, DPIAS, data protection officers, and all the staff training too, because they have to like train staffs every now and then on how to like protect this technology, on how to like use this technology to make sure that medical informations are not leaked, and to make sure that people that are not supposed to have access to this information does not have access to it. So now effectiveness, strength, so encryption, access control, and monitoring reduce risks when properly applied, which I already said earlier. Weakness, we have human error, phishing, poor configuration, weak vendor security. All of this weakness can actually be avoided if if they make use of staff training. Yes, if they incorporate staff training into their activities, the X facilities, they should incorporate staff training into their facilities to make sure that all these weaknesses are avoided. For example, human errors, poor configuration. You cannot expect an ex worker that is like maybe 50 years now to know how to like make use of these computers and all that. So this is where staff training comes in, when they are being trained on how to make use of a computer and how to make use of this. So it's going to like avoid all this weakness. Then recommendations, invest in staff training, like I said, audits, regulation, enforcement. So all these regulators of enforcement should make sure that they do their job very well. They enforce all these data privacy laws that we have in order to protect patients and even to protect the hospital image as well. So now we have the impact of wearable health technologies, influence on health behavior, treatment, and ethical concern. So wearable health technology, such as smartwatches, fitness trackers, and pulse sensors, have revolutionized healthcare delivery by allowing individuals to monitor vital signs and all that. So when you, for example, now a smartwatch, when you put on your smartwatch, can easily monitor your heartbeat or even your blood pressure. Yes. So for somebody that have high blood pressure, when you put on your smartwatch and all that, when you put on your smartwatch, you can easily monitor your blood pressure. And then fitness trackers and all that. So when there's tracker like to
Hello,
track
Dennis, please control the background noise. I don't know whose mic is is unmuted.
I'm working on it, sir.
It's okay.
So all
proceed.
So all this we help patients' health. So you don't have to go to any little thing. You don't have to like go to the hospital before you know your blood pressure. You don't have to like go to the hospital before you know your vital signs. You can easily put on this smartwatch, these trackers and all that to know these little details about your health, which can actually go a long way in helping you to live long. Because a lot of people have, for instance, in Nigeria, a lot of people die of high blood pressure, and that is because they don't even have the means to monitor their blood pressure. Before you know it, they just say that this person slumped and died. Maybe the person is already battling with high blood pressure without him knowing, and then just small shock can trigger that, and then it will lead to cardiac arrest. So when you have this smartwatch on, it's going to like help you monitor your blood pressure immediately. Like you say that, oh, this thing is already rising above the normal. You take your drugs or anything that you're supposed to use to reduce it. So, and then influence on health behavior and treatment. So wearable health technologies empower used by providing instant feedback on lifestyle choices, thereby encouraging healthier routine. Like I already said, somebody that is aware that okay, he or she have high blood pressure. When you put on this smartwatch that will help you to like monitor your vitals, monitor your blood pressure, you'll be able to like know what you're supposed to do at this moment and what you're not supposed to do. You're able to know that okay, this is what I should eat in order to reduce my blood pressure. This is what I should do in order to like increase my blood pressure and all that. So we have ethical and legal concerns. So despite their benefits, despite this wearable health technologies benefits, there are different challenges in terms of privacy, data security, and informed consent, like I already said. So data privacy in the essence that how are we going to ensure that the medical information of these clients, of these patients, are not hacked by cyber punks or people that are supposed to like have access to the information. People that are not supposed to have access to the information does not have access to it. How are we going to protect clients' medical records? I can say for myself that this is the number one issue that we are facing currently, or that the health facilities are facing currently. And then informed consent. So yes, I feel like this informed consent should not like be a big challenge in my own view. It should not be a big challenge like that, because when you open the medical apps, there's something that you should, okay, all this data privacy, and then you click, okay, are you something like a mini information? Do you know that this you're so? Are you aware of this? So if you are okay with it, click yes for us to continue. If you are okay, no. So you can just click yes, and then that will be taken as you consented to it. So I feel like that informed consent should not be a big challenge, but the major challenge is data privacy. So sensitive health data collected by this device is often stored on third-party servers, raising questions about data ownership, unauthorized sharing, and potential misuse, which I already said. So accuracy and reliability. Inaccurate readings may lead to misdiagnosis, patient anxiety, or even harm. So like I said, these medical apps, because it is actually created by humans, so we cannot take away the fact that sometimes it might not be accurate. Yes, information provided by these medical apps might not be accurate sometimes. So this can also lead to patient anxiety, and it will even lead to distrust, because patients will not even trust the medical apps again. But like the last time I tried using this smartwatch, the last time I tried using this fitness tracker, the last time I tried using this medical app, it gave me a wrong diagnosis. I have to go to the hospital, and maybe it was malaria that was doing me. The app said it was typhoid. So the last time I used it, it was not okay. I cannot trust the app. Some people will even delete the app from their phone. So the app will become the people will not the patients rather will not we no longer trust these medical apps and all that. So we have e-health intervention efficacy, mobile apps and online platform for patient management. So e-health intervention through mobile apps and online platform are proven effective in supporting patient care, disease management, and access to healthcare services, which is actually true. For example, now in Nigeria, we have the MDoc, which provide virtual self-care coaching emails such as diabetes and hypertension. So somebody that have chronic diabetes, or is it stage 2? So there's something that this chronic diabetes is called, maybe stage 2 or last stage, or probably you can easily use MDoc, because the stress and the risk of going to hospitals is another thing. So you can easily stay in your house and even monitor your diabetic stage. You should know what you should do and all that. And then hypertension, which is your high blood pressure and all that. So this has improved the medication adherence, lifestyle modification, and remote care, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think the reason why everybody moved to technology, apart from the fact that we are in the 21st century, was the COVID-19 period. The COVID-19 actually opened everyone's eyes to the use of technology in medical facilities, because there are a lot of people that faced issues during the lockdown, a lot of people that are slumped and died in their house because they don't have access to hospitals. They cannot go to hospital due to lockdown and all that. So I think that opened everyone's eyes to the use of to the importance of technology in healthcare facility. And yes, in healthcare. So we have Drug Stock in Nigeria too, which is a cloud-based platform which connects hospitals and pharmacies with licensed drug suppliers, reducing the circulation of counterfeit drugs and ensuring patients receive authentic treatment. So also we have the Wellvis Health, which offers consultations and the COVID-19 trials too, that help reduce hospital overcrowding during the pandemic by allowing early self-assessment and remote monitoring. Other Nigeria platform includes Doctoral My Sugar, etc. So hospitals in Nigeria actually are being faced with the issue of being overcrowded. Yes, majorly this UCH, LUTH, all these Unilorin teaching hospital and all this, they are always overcrowded. If you go to UCH now, like everywhere is overcrowded. So when we adopt the use of technology in healthcare, you can easily stay in your house. Like simple, okay, headache is not simple, but maybe when you have a headache, you can easily like use this doc and all that to like to know what is actually wrong with you, and then you can use drug stock to know the drugs that you're supposed to use and all that. You don't have to like go to hospitals for consultation. You don't have to go to pharmacy for before you could like able to like get drugs and all that. So these interventions have shown efficacy in improving access, promoting self-management, and reducing hospital burden. Actually, yes. For example, now UCH, you have to go to UCH, and then they can even tell you that before you can see a doctor, I think they have a roster or something like that. So the waiting period alone is even another thing entirely. It's very annoying. It can tell you to like wait for a whole 12 hours before you can see a doctor for consultation. Sometimes you even go to the hospital and the next time they tell you to like come next month for your consultation before you can be able to like see that doctor you want to see because of crowd. Because everybody wants to see that doctor. So you can just easily stay in your house, use this MDoc, use the Webix and all that to access healthcare, and this will help improve accessibility. After all this, Nigeria still face challenges such as digital literacy gap. So the truth is, out of 100% of Nigerian citizens, people that are aware of all this MDoc and drugstore are not even up to 40%, or let me say, are not even up to 50%. And this is because of digital literacy gaps. A lot of people are just using phone. They are not even aware of the usefulness of their phone. A lot of people does not even trust all these apps. Anything that comes from phone like this, they don't trust it. They are okay with the waiting period. They prefer to go to the hospitals to wait for 12 hours, to wait for 8 hours for consultation. So digital literacy gaps, inconsistent internet access. People that stay in the villages always have internet issue. So this can even frustrate them. I'm like, oh, I've been trying to access this thing for the past few days. Let me just go to the hospital. So even the waiting period is almost the same thing as you trying to like access this app in your village or your town if you're having internet issue. So and then we have weak and legal frameworks. Like I asked a question earlier, a rhetorical question, like we have policies that protect data privacy. We have a lot of policies in the healthcare, but how effective are these laws? So, and then challenges of telemedicine, we have the reimbursement issues. Reimbursement is hindered by inconsistent policies across states and limitation from CMS and private insurance. Reimbursement we can also have reimbursement issue when they change the staffs of the hospital, like the directors and all that. Can have reimbursement issues too. Policies changes, like they change policies every day. Our ministers of health, the commissioners of health, they change policies every day, and this can affect reimbursement issues and can affect the reimbursement. So we have privacy risks. For me, that's like the major issue we are facing in the healthcare currently. Privacy risks. Privacy concern arise from data transmission, necessitating compliance with HIPPA PAA for USA, and then we have I think NDPA for Nigeria, and then we have diagnostic difficulties. Diagnosis becomes challenging without physical examination because, yeah, for example, as a female now, you have to like see a gynecologist if there's something wrong with your body, right? So how effective are these online diagnostic? Because there are no physical examination. For example, somebody that have maybe have breast cancer, they have to like examine your breast if there are no lumps in your breast, right? To be able to like conclude that okay, you have cancer. But using online apps or all these medical apps like that to like to for consultation and all that might not be effective for a case like that, because there will be a need for physical examination to be able to conclude that, okay, this is what is probably wrong with you. Then we have technology access barrier. So technological access is limited for some patients, especially in rural area, which is, I've been saying this, people that live in villages and town always have issues with, as they always have issue with, they always have issue accessing technologies, internet by network issues and all that. Even people that are living in in urban areas still have issues with internet in Nigeria, not to talk of people that are living in the rural areas. So we have patient awareness. Like I said, I think I said this earlier, that people that are aware of all these medical apps in Nigeria are not up to 50%. They are not. So we have patient awareness, which is a very, very big issue too. So we have technical glitches. Technical issues can disrupt consultations, preparedness, and communication enhancement. For example, now you are currently chatting using a chat bot of one medical app to like for consultation, and before you know it, they tell you that maybe redirection, they redirect you, even unnecessary ads. There's unnecessary ad from all these medical apps, and it can even be very, very frustrating, and then can even redirect and tell you, oh, oops, all this 404 error and all that. So we have necessity. Reliance Health telemedicine features allow patients to consult with doctors within 10 minutes, eliminating the lengthy wait times. I already said it's like if everybody is aware of all these medical apps, that's why the father, it has its own challenges. We cannot shy away from the father. It has its own benefits, which is number one benefit is it improves access to healthcare. A lot of people will be able to access healthcare without from the comfort of their home. So instead of going to the hospitals and the waiting period and all that, which can be very annoying. So legal and ethical concerns of telemedicine, we have the licensure and jurisdiction, we have the data security and privacy, and then we have the informed consent, we have the malpractice and liability, and then we have reimbursements and payments for telemedicine services. So this is all. So I'm done, sir.
Any questions?
Okay,
All right.
great presentation. Let me quickly attack or address a few issues before we go to group 2. You said you don't think informed consent will be a challenge, right?
For me, yes, personally, I feel.
Okay, can you expatiate? What is informed consent?
Informed consent is when patients are aware of, like the doctors inform the patient that this is inform the patient about their medical procedures, the alternative treatments and all that. So, and then they ask for their consent.
Okay.
Do you want to go ahead with this treatment? Do you want to withdraw your withdraw treatment? Do you want to refuse treatment and all that? So
Okay.
the reason I feel it is not like a big issue like that compared to data privacy is because for all these apps like that, there are all these I don't know, like all these data privacy. Yes, for something like that, they can easily incorporate into the medical apps. Do you want to like continue with the consultation? Do you want to something like that? That's what I feel personally.
Okay, that's what you feel personally. It's
Yes,
okay.
sir.
I needed to get that clarification. We will address it at the end of the class. It's okay. Can we have group 2 present?
Okay, good evening, everybody. And then you see.
Group 2, you have to try to be a bit audible.
Okay, sir.
Hear me now, sir.
So then this you can start sharing the slides, sir. Well, while waiting for him, the topic for today's okay, thank you very much, sir. Legal issues in emerging healthcare technology, group 2 presentation, and basically we'll be talking on matters arising or some issues that are in relation or relating to emerging healthcare technology in Nigeria. Now, what is technology? The primary word in this presentation. Technology is basically the practical application of scientific knowledge, tools, and like systems, basically to meet human needs. So it's just like the practical application of science to meet human needs. So technology's primary work is to meet human needs. Now, we have the role of technology in the health sector. One, it improves patient treatment, and one of the ways it improves patient treatment is one of the things that my co-presenter mentioned, which is telemedicine, and how it reduces the population of people going to hospitals for consultation, and then you have long queues. It drastically reduces the workload on hospitals physically. Now, also efficiency in medical records keeping. So instead of having to keep files and then maybe something happened and if the hospital got burnt and all the files in the hospital got burnt with the what is it now with the hospital. The hospital can have a database where every single record of an hospital is kept online. And then I think she was mentioning, my co-presenter was mentioning something around encryption, and database will be encrypted against hackers who would want to hack into the system database and use the information for illegal means. Another role of technology, effective data protection, which is also in tandem with um sorry, my phone went off, which was in tandem with efficiency and medical records keeping. Now, what are the achievements in health technology? One, robotic surgery. I think in Nigeria, we have had one robotic surgery in the prostrate clinic, CPC, an hospital in VI, Victoria and Island, Lagos State. The clinic performed the first robotic assisted prostate cancer surgery in West Africa. You can go online. I think it was published by the Guardian Nigeria. You can go online to also see details of this, how this surgery went. Then also there's an hospital in Lagos and also in Abuja. It's called Kelina Hospital. It has not done its own robotic surgery yet, but it's set to have its own robot-assisted radical prostatectomy. Was it something about prostate something, and assemble some robotic surgeons to have its own first robotic surgery in the hospital. Then, apart from robotic surgery, one of the achievements of health technology is also exoskeleton therapies. So you're probably hearing exoskeleton therapy. What's exoskeleton therapy? It's just a mode of, rehabilitating or a form of rehabilitation that uses robotic wearable device. So was mostly for people that have leg disabilities, or maybe a person that's sustained an injury and then had to use the wheelchair, but the person is very determined to want to walk again and not sit on the wheelchair forever. So the person would go for um, exoskeleton therapy, and it's used and people who who are recovering from spinal cord injuries to help them to stand well or to walk again, or also to those who are recovering from stroke to help them to regain their walking and their leg movement. Exoskeleton is one over a body, like it's like a suit. If you watch all these medical dramas where those who probably have a leg injury are trying to learn how to walk all over again after using the wheelchair for so long, you see how the exoskeleton therapy works. Then also we have mobile health monitors, things like apps. And one of the things that my co-presenter was mentioning was something about an app that can help you to, or a watch, or this mobile watch that can help you to check your heart rate. Also, one another mobile health monitor I know is one of these BP machine, carryable BP machines. I think we have it in my house because my dad checks his BP from time to time, and you just put the whatever around his arm, and the device would read, oh, oh, this is your BP level. The BP level is then normal. So things like that are also mobile health monitors, and also as well as telemedicine, which has been very well explained by my co-presenter. Now, what's the intersection of law and health technology? One of the intersection is EPA, which basically is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And what is its role? It's just to, protect data privacy of patients and ensure that penalties are, meted out for non-compliance. Also, state licensing, also laws that ensures non-violation of fundamental legal rights in relation to medical health sector. I think it was last class or the week before that our lecturer, Mr. Benza, was saying that a major rule in the constitution that is in that really protects patients is right to life. I remember him saying that very, very clearly. So yeah, it's in section 33. Yes, so that's also one of the laws that ensures non-violation of fundamental legal rights in relation to patients, or health technology, or basically health sector protection of patients. Now the next slide, please. I think that should be regulatory framework for AI in healthcare. Thank you, sir. Now, the case study here is soft law frameworks. Now, what are soft law frameworks? They are basically rules, they are principles, or you can call them, let's say, guidelines that, shape how people should behave, but they are not legally binding. That is, they are not government enforced. So probably it's just a regulatory body that formed the framework. So it's not like I see, okay, National Assembly sat down and then drafted the framework, or the House of Rep, or the Senate, or the National, well, just any government. There was not a government body that's, created the framework, hence it's not enforceable, quote and unquote. Now we have some industry players in the soft law frameworks. We have people called developers, and developers are those who create or who fund or who plan or who maintain, or you cannot call them the initiatives behind the AI medical devices that are being used by hospitals of doctors. Now, we also have another stakeholder in software frameworks who are they're also called users. These are the doctors, the hospitals, people, organizations that make use of the AI medical devices made by the developers. Now, examples of soft law frameworks that we have, there's FDA. FDA 2019, FDA means Food and Drug Administration. It's in USA, and they propose a regulatory system here for AI in medical devices or AI medical devices. Now, one of the things that the framework was set to achieve is that developers, those who create these AI medical devices, are responsible for how the AI is being used in real life. So it's not just after like, okay, it has been tested in the lab. Oh yes, this is a good innovation. This is a good, this doesn't end there. So in case problems comes up in the future in an hospital with that AI medical device, developers, those who brought the idea, or those who invented, yes, so to say, yeah, those who invented that AI medical device will be the one responsible for it, like upon application by hospitals. And also, developers must report like updates, like changes, anything, but maybe it has been, is now being used by quite a number of hospitals, and then they feel like they want to make a change to that AI medical device. The developers have to report to the Food and Drug Administration before the change can be effected to the AI medical device. Now, also, it's also, I think, if the AI is going to be like, there's a new way on how to use it, they have to scrape off they have to like scrape off. No, the new way has to be approved by the Food and Drug Administration. So since I know, okay, this is not how this medical device will function anymore. This is the way this is how we are going to use it. This is the pattern is going to. This is how it's going to be used. This is how it's going to be however, this is how it's going to be used here. And that's to be approved by the Food and Drug Administration before it can be properly implemented. So basically, developers are accountable, just like I said here, for the real world performance and input. Approval process restarts if intended use changes. So they have to like approve the change all over again. So until it is approved, that change cannot be effected and cannot be enforced on hospitals that are making use of the AI medical device already. Now we also have NICE. This is in the UK, National Institution for Health and Care Excellence, and NHS, National Health Service, 2019 in the UK. They came together to create the evidence standards framework. And what does this seek to achieve? The framework it just sets standards for like digital but on digital health products like like apps, like software, like online platforms. So it applies to both like standalone and also combined digital product. So okay, they're saying standalone. What kind of standalone? There is diabetes app. So those that have diabetes, they can just use an app like they have an app that's okay, checks, okay, this is how kind of food they can take, or check their sugar level, their blood sugar level, and what have you. And also we also have combined ones, an app that is connected to a medical device. Example of some of these things is, or example of some of these combined ones are, or is a blood pressure monitor. I think I can relate to this because I've seen those that use it, or I hear of people that use this blood pressure monitor. and a mobile app. So I think there is one blood pressure monitor. I don't know if you've heard of it before. Omron Art Guide. So it's connected to a Omron Connect app. Now this wearable blood pressure monitor will send its readings. Like let's say this one. It's always, if you're familiar with blood pressure monitor, it will say 184, or you can call it 84, or this something is 18 something, or 190 something, or you send the readings to the app, like the Omron Connect app, for proper analysis, for tracking, and to also share it with the doctors of that patient, or doctor of that patient, um, for proper monitoring and for proper diagnosis. Then also NHA and NDPA 2023 in Nigeria. So actually, Nigeria does not, quote and unquote, really have a specific AI law for healthcare. Unlike these soft law frameworks in USA and UK that FDA and NICE and NHS implemented, Nigeria doesn't have a specific AI law for healthcare. It's just covered under the umbrella laws that have been made. For example, now the National Health Act just provides for general healthcare general healthcare delivery, and how healthcare services should be rendered, how it should properly rendered. Or let's say, for example, Nigeria Data Protection Act 2023 basically protects patient privacy and data. But then it doesn't really cover the unique risks of AI. Like, okay, what about this problem? For example, a question like, okay, who is responsible if AI makes a mistake? Now, I was saying that in under FDA, one of the framework is that if the developers are responsible for the performance of the AI medical device, even after it leaves the lab and is being implemented or is being used by hospitals and doctors. But under Nigerian laws, there is nothing like who's responsible if the AI makes a medical mistake. There's nothing like, okay, bias. Okay, what happens if AI is biased in its decision? If you use ChatGPT now, they always say at the end that ChatGPT can make mistakes. So what happens when institutions are biased? What is the law saying on that matter? So we can claim that there's like a legal gap in Nigeria as to legal frameworks on AI healthcare, which leaves the patients and also the hospitals and doctors without a clear direction on how it's to be navigated, or how it's to be protected, or how it should be properly used in that sense. So, yes, thank you very much. Next slide, please. Ethical implications of generic testing. Thank you, sir. So, just a brief rundown before I explain it in detail. Privacy and confidentiality, informed consent, psychological impact, equity and accessibility, ownership of generic data, cultural and religious consent. So now, genetic testing, it just helps to detect inherited, disorders, and also like predicts likelihood of diseases that can occur because of a particular bloodline, or because, okay, a particular bloodline or a gene. And also it helps to take preventive steps against those diseases. So what are now, they always say that no matter how good a thing is, there's still some side effects that he has, just like technology. No matter how beautiful technology is, no matter how much it helps human reduce workload, it still has its own disadvantages. Now, some of these advantages are also ethical implications for genetic testing, one of which is privacy and confidentiality. So ethically, normally, there's a duty to like always, I think we even mentioned it maybe in our first or second class. In I was talking about confidentiality, and that's how there's a duty to maintain confidentiality and also to like secure informed consent, which I'll be speaking about in the next point. Before like disclosing the party's data to a third party. Now, when genetic testing is going to be done, it's going to reveal a lot of personal information about the person's bloodline, hereditary conditions, family, everything. Like, you're going to have to pour down a lot of data to the hospital or to the doctor or the healthcare personnel involved. Now, if it's not properly protected, information can be used anyhow. Let's say by the insurance company of that patient, or even the doctors or the hospitals. So the hospital owes the patient a confidentiality pact that whatever information I'm giving to this hospital on my condition should be between myself and my patient and myself and you, doctor. Even under RPC, that's rules of professional conduct, there is a strict rule of client confidentiality. So it's not just even only in the healthcare sector. Even in the legal world, the lawyer and the client the lawyer holds the client a issue of confidentiality, which applies there. So except the patient gives consent that okay, doctor, you can go ahead to disclose data for others, maybe for awareness or anything like that. But without the patient consent or without the patient approval, the data should not be leaked out in any form or in any way. Now, informed consent as well is a very, very critical concern because even though it's okay, you say that okay, informed consent, okay, the patient gives consent to whatever treatment is to be meted out to him or whatever treatment is subjecting him or herself to. But the thing is, do the patient actually fully understand all that genetic testing entails? Because some foreign doctors might not, tell the patient or that they say, okay, just take this test, and they won't go in detail. It may not be too common, but then maybe they skip it, which can be found under medical negligence. Maybe they say medical negligence. Well, they didn't remember that, oh, I'm supposed to inform this person about this, and then the procedure has already been carried out before the patient knows that, the doctor knows that, I didn't inform this patient, and the patient sues or takes a legal action against the doctor. So the complexity about this informed consent is that most patients don't really grasp the risk behind, genetic testing or all that it is really about. So until they fully understand that, okay, this is all genetic testing is all about. Let's say in this family they have epilepsy, and these are the tests that will be taken to show that you have epilepsy. These are the procedures, and you just tell the patient that you detected whatever is epilepsy. Don't tell you, and you don't inform the patient what procedures was taken or should be taken on how to detect this what is it now, this disease. And the patient say, oh, I don't know, my family, my grandpa, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather has always been having epilepsy. I don't know. And then doctors just, okay, epilepsy, okay. And they just say, okay, this is what epilepsy is. And they don't see what epilepsy is all about, and this and that, and this and that, and this and that. And they do not properly explain all that will be done, all that will be carried out inside the or under the genetic testing. So I think in the case of this particular case, our lecturer has always mentioned, Okonko versus MDCN, the Supreme Court reinstated that every adult, like every competent adult, has the right to determine what should be done and what not should be done to his body, including the right to refuse life-saving treatment. So, and I think that the case also emphasized, informed consent and patient autonomy as a very important detail in medical ethics. So the patient must properly understand all that's going to be done in genetic testing. Else, the treatment and procedure must not be carried out in order to, avoid legal redress against the doctor and the hospital. Now, psychological impact. So when they take genetic tests, the results will tell them that this disease does not have any cure. There's no cure for it. So, and then after taking genetic tests, that is always deemed as though at least it will help you to prevent this disease. Let's say it's detected very early, to be able to just prevent this disease. But there are some diseases that even if early detected, still has no cure, and then it leaves the patient more depressed than he went to the hospital, or more depressed than when he went for the test. So now the question I now have is that, is it better for someone to the information so they can prepare their minds? Now I was talking about informed consent, to tell the person all that the test entails, and then even about when the result comes out, okay, this and this and this and this, and this is how it should be cured. This is how it's going to be cured. Do you want to tell the person how everything that's is it ethical for you to like tell the person all the information for them to prepare for it, prepare for the outcome well, or the genetic testing outcome well, and when maybe the result is not favorable, they're able to like just shoulder the news and just move on with life? Or they should not be told, knowing that it can do more harm than good because of fear and anxiety issues. Because I'm people that when they find out about the disease, they're like, and then the doctor says, oh, there is no cure, it would cause more harm to them. They can even start taking suicidal thoughts that, well, still just kill myself. Since this disease is just to it doesn't lead to death at the end of the day. So why not just end it now and just send bye-bye to the world? So things like that. Also, equity and accessibility. Genetic testing is quite expensive. And in a country like Nigeria, where there's no middle class, it's just the rich and the poor, it creates an ethical challenge whereby it's only those who are financially sound or stable that may benefit from detection of disease as to, inherited disorders or inherited diseases. And those that don't have much are just left behind to, managing and genetic data. That's another problem. There's always a question of, okay, after I give you the sample, who owns this data? Is it the hospital that carried out the test, or the patient that gives the sample, or the required?
Let me reshare.
What is required for the test to be carried out, or is it the private company that processes the? Who exactly owns the? Oh, they are the owners, since they are the ones that carried out the test. Some would even use develop medicines and make profit from another person's problem, another person's genetic data without consent. Now, the ethical issue here is as to whether or not patients ought to give proper permission before a hospital can make use of his or genetic data. So before I want to use my data for experiments or for in a case study for others to see, I should be able to give my consent to it. Else, doing it is not ethical. And also, if I give my consent to it, I should have my own share from the benefits. Maybe we carry out a research based on my own data, and then the government, let's say, there's some paid research. So, like when you want to do research, like there's some it's in the polling grant, something like that. So when you do those things, okay, the cut I get from it, I'm assuming that I'm the patient that I give data, I'm going to collect my own share, 20%, 30%. You can take, maybe you can take 70%, or take 30%, or take 70, take 30. At least I'm the one that give data. So then there's also cultural and religious consent. In some cultures, we believe that any inherited disease is amutonwa. That's the Yoruba language, but like in English terms, it's from God. So that's your destiny. You have to mind that. That's your family. That's how God said to bless a family with disease. And then just see it as, and then they see that they now see genetic testing to detect the disease early as like interfering with what God has put inside your body. And doctors ethically, just like you see in the case of Ekonko versus MDC, doctors have to respect those beliefs. I think there was this case where a woman refused a blood transfusion, and she later died because she's a, and this leads to death of quite a number of people. I know Konko and MDC was saying that even if the patient is refusing a life-saving treatment, you should not have anything to do with it. Leave the patient, let the patient die, since the person chooses to die. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. That's telehealth. Thank you, sir. Telehealth regulation and licensing. What is telehealth? Basically, it's the use of electronic technology to deliver health-related services remotely. I think while this presentation was going on, Mr. Benza sent something to the group on how I didn't fully just as a notification on how somebody did a surgery on a child. Maybe the person was in one country. I've not like seen. I think it was on age something, iPad or something like that. The person did a surgery on someone, on a child from another country entirely. So that's an example of telehealth. Basically, the use of electronic technology to deliver health-related services remotely. Also, this also comes under all these apps that I've been mentioning. what's diabetes app, blood monitor app, heart rate monitor app, and the likes. Now, licensing for telehealth in Nigeria, the company or the hospital that's making use of telehealth must be incorporated under CAC, properly registered. What's CAC? Corporate Affairs Commission. Then also, they must have qualified and licensed medical practitioner to provide the services. So, a doctor that is not well versed or is not a professional or is not certified in telehealth cannot be carrying out telehealth services. And there must also be compliance with NDP, that's National Nigerian Data Protection Act, and also other relevant regulations. Also, permits should be gotten from FMO, and also the hospital must be registered under MDC, Medical Dental Council of Nigeria, Medical Dental Council of Nigeria, before the hospital can be licensed for telehealth services in Nigeria. Now, regulation and licensing bodies in Nigeria for telehealth, they include CSC, MDC, and like earlier mentioned, NPPC. And what does NPPC do? They basically ensure that you are in compliance with NDP. Also, FMO, they give permits and also do oversight. They can also basically oversight on the hospitals, and also NOTAP, and also NAFDAC as well. Now, next slide, please. Data ownership and intellectual property. Now, in the health sector, internship and IP has always been debated. That's been the most debated issues. Data, who doesn't own data? Because of this is why, and what's the reason? Because of the digitization of patient care and medical research. And the real question is, I think when I was looking at it, like, so who now owns data? Like, who owns and controls the data? Is it the patients? Is it the hospital? Because from a legal perspective, patients have a fundamental right of access, as seen under the Nigerian DPR and also EU's again, Nigerian Data Protection Act, and also GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. Now, healthcare providers, hospitals, doctors, and the likes, they often claim that they are the ones that own the data because they say that they invest resources, their equipment, everything to process data and bring out the results. So there's always a tension of patient autonomy. I'm doing that. Institutional control. Oh, we're the one that process the data. So we're the owner of this data. In quite a number of clinical trials, medical health issues, legal actions in courts today, ownership is always ownership issues is always very complex because the patient that brings the raw data through their participation, through their laying of samples, and then the research sponsors, the hospitals, the companies are the ones that will now claim proprietary rights because they compiled the data and then they derived the results. Now, it's now an issue of the courts are trying to see, okay, is it the patient that owns this? Is it the institution that owns it because they did this? And that is where patient's confidentiality now comes in to ensure that, okay, even if you are the one that claimed that, okay, you own it, which in normal balance, ethically, you don't. You have to take the consent of your of the patient to release data to the world. So it's not that you will now use someone else's data and then take it as your own. But until the patient gives permission that, okay, yes, you can. I think I was mentioning it under one subtopic that, let's say, or if you're going to use my data, then I'm going to take this benefit or this share, or you're going to use my data upon my consent. So, and also some of these health technology and what have you also stands as so after this confidentiality, what if I had this question that while going through the presentation was that what if upon the after the test has been done, data has been collected, then the patient dies and the what is it now? The company or the hospital, the research center want to make use of the data, who is going to be consulted? Or what is to be done? Can they just claim ownership of the data since the patient that gave the sample as fast? That's a rhetorical question, or a question that our lecturer can answer after this presentation. Now have health technology and algorithms. Here, diagnostic tools protected by IP, copyright, trade secrets, patent rights. What are AI diagnostic tools? Lord of Jesus. Some of them are Tempus. Tempus is a diagnostic tool that uses AI to analyze clinical records. We also have remote monitoring algorithms. These ones are like variables like Apple Watch, and then we just help monitor, let's say, heart rates, all the rates that we can think of health wise basically. And also IBM, Watson, they also help doctors to there's also a form of AI diagnosis to they help doctors to analyze medical records and also match patient data with cancer treatment options. Now, are they the owners? The question is, are they the owners of this record? Are they the owner of this data in this with this tool? Are they the owners? Since they're the one that's okay, are the one introducing the tool to the patient, are they the owners of the tool? Are they the owner of the data rather? Sorry. Now we have a case, PDPA versus Nizami Hospital. In this hospital, the data rights, in this case, data rights NGO, they sued the Nizami Hospital that Nizami has breached Nigeria Data Protection Act because they use CCTV and website tracking without consent of the patients. And then the court held that in that case, court was like, yes, the NGO, that's PDP, they had the local standard, they had the legal standing to institute the action against the hospital because of the fact that they did not take consent from the patient. So one thing about this data ownership is that, and IP is that the patient's consent is very, very, very important and germane to release of data or as to the ownership of data. So looking at it from this case, and you can see that the patient owns his data. This case is like explaining that it's the patient that owns data. So until the patient gives consent to the hospital that yes, you can go ahead and make use of this data, or go ahead and release this data, you can't. It's illegal. Although in this case there was no evidence because they could not prove that. They could not prove well that the CCTV, probably there was no maybe they already erased the CCTV what is it now? Yeah, at that time. But the court held that yes, they had the legal standing if such situation arises to institute action against that hospital in situations like this. So conclusion. Next slide, please. Thank you, sir. Law is not an obstacle to innovation. It only provides accountability and trust. Yes. So law is not like it's not a barrier, not a very wicked and just one terrible thing that the lawmakers chose to impose on people. But it's to make a person accountable for whatever actions is taking. Take example of the RPC for lawyers here. The rules in RPC is not to constrict you totally, but it's just to give a minimum standard of how a lawyer is supposed to act. So also MDCN also going to give a minimum standard of what a doctor is, what I'm supposed to see from a doctor. So once you know the provisions of the MDCN, when you act contrary to what is inside, it won't be termed as ignorance. I don't know if you get. So it helps doctors to be accountable for basically laws help people to be accountable for their actions, for the standard they choose to stand by. Wow, standard choose to stand by. Progress in healthcare technology must protect ethics and human dignity. So in as much as technology is progressing, there is development, new innovations, it must still stand by ethics and also human dignity. And lastly, legal technology should evolve in partnership. Not that as a new technology is done, then there is no law that is also covering it. So as law is developing, technology should develop. There's not one they call law a dynamic concept. Technology is also dynamic because technology is not static. We have new technologies every day. There are probably some scientists somewhere in one lab now trying to invent something new or create something new. So as law is progressing, technology should also be progressing in relation to health sector in partnership. And I think that's where I'm going to stop for today. Thank you very much for listening. You can stop sharing the slides now, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Zayo, for your presentation. Well done to everyone who participated in preparing the presentation and to the presenters in class. Mr. Ebenezer, if you can hear us, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Insightful presentations by the two groups. I want to particularly commend the last presenter. The slides that were sent to me was 7 slides. So I don't know if you added something, but I kept checking over and over whether mine was different, but I followed through and I saw that you followed the slide. So I want to commend your ability to sustain the conversation.
Okay, kind apologies. It seems Mr. Ebenezer was having network issues. I thought it was me, but I'll try to reach out to him to get him back on call. Okay, Mr. Ebenezer will shortly be with us. He's trying to get back in.
Sorry,
Yeah,
please. I wanted to open the code of medical ethics so that I read it. I didn't know that I erroneously closed the Zoom this platform. So sorry about that. Let me just, okay, I had to even open on my phone too. Okay, good. So discussing telemedicine. If you check the platform, you will see a video I forwarded there. It's a video of an Indian doctor performing surgery on the severe the system, or as far as I'm concerned, on air, on a patient that is in a different city. So let's assume the doctor is in Abuja. The patient is in Lagos, and the doctor in Abuja is performing a surgery on a patient that is in Lagos through a medium. And that medium is the internet, not just the internet, but through robotic combination of robots and systems. And that is what we call telemedicine. Distance, remote, virtual, as contrasting physical, one-on-one, interperson relationship. One of the cardinal rules of medical practice is that you must examine before you prescribe, you must examine before you treat. So that becomes a huge challenge when we talk about telemedicine. That the presenter vividly captured it. Let's assume a woman calls you for breast cancer screening or breast lump. She says she is noticing a lump on her breast, and she calls a doctor. I am speaking from Abuja. Maybe the woman lives in Abuja. The doctor she calls is in UK. And the doctor asks, okay, take off your clothes. She does. You say, do like this. She does. Say, push your breast up. She does. She says, okay, where exactly can you see the lump? The woman says, here. And maybe put some piece of flesh together, and the doctor actually sees. Is that sufficient for prescription? The doctor is supposed to feel, to check. And in feeling or checking that lump, he will be looking at whether it is soft, is it tender, is it hard. So the sensation or sensitivity he gets from his hand can even tell him. That's part of the examination. Before we now start talking about, okay, let us check whether it is benign or whether it is firstly cancerous. If it is cancerous, is it benign? Is it malignant? Does it have the tendency to metastasize? That is spread. Now, it is a huge challenge with telemedicine. And the rule is this, that as soon as possible, if you must prescribe, schedule physical visit of the patient or examination of the patient as soon as possible, either by you, the doctor who has prescribed or commence treatment, or by a doctor nearby. So the doctor is in UK. The woman is based in Abuja. Now, the doctor should refer the woman to a hospital where another colleague, a specialist in that area of medicine, should examine that woman physically to corroborate whatever the London or UK-based doctor has thought could be, or now bring out accurate diagnosis of what the situation is, then proper treatment can commence. Another big challenge of telemedicine is data protection. And the presenter laid so much emphasis on that. So I'm back to my session 22 of the Code of Medical Ethics. It provides telemedicine a professional opportunity outcome. Now, bear in mind that this Code of Medical Ethics is 1998. So, as at then, we do not have the spread or use of the internet as we do today in Nigeria. But when this code was being made, they saw the future, of course, by reason of international engagement and exposure. They saw the future and captured what we have today. And I'll go back. It says, telemedicine, a professional opportunity outcome of modern advances in computer and telecommunication technology, is steadily creeping into professional practice in Nigeria. It is medicine requested and practiced at a distance, and it is particularly useful for patient care and management by general practitioners and specialists in assessing telesupport in their daily practice on the basis of requirements for specialist consultation in various specialties of medicine and dentistry. Events that are unfolding as the investigating panel looks into, okay, sorry, please, I went back. Okay. It is of ethical significance for registered practitioners to continuously assess and avoid medical legal pitfalls in areas such as 1, confidentiality, 2, professional competence, 3, legal and registration status of the specialist being consulted, 4, equipment reliability, sustainable continuity of patient management, and timely referral of patients. Then electronic processing. This was even before the Data Protection Act came into existence. It reads further. Practitioners must make appropriate arrangements for the scrutiny of personal information when it is stored, sent, or received by fax, computer, email, or other electronic means. Information must be kept secure before connecting to a network. You should ensure that data sent cannot be intercepted or seen by anyone other than the intended recipients. Practitioners should, however, be aware that information sent by email through the internet may be intercepted. Now, it is instructive to note here that this provision was before year 2000, before 2004, before 2010, before 2015, before 2020, and of course, before 2025, where we are now playing with internet, where we are now talking about artificial intelligence, where somebody in one city can perform surgery on another city, on a patient in another city, virtually. That is where technology has brought us. But there are underlying medical legal issues. One of such is issue of consent. Now, is it enough to explain to the patient over telephone, over a video conversation, and the patient says, I understand. How long, how many hours do you give the patient to process the information and give informed, we're talking about informed consent here, and give an informed consent that permits or authorizes the healthcare professional to continue treatments? That is one. Two, we have talked about issue of data protection. Then issue of examining the patients. Now, as at the time this provision was written, they were probably referring to just email and fax, and they were not contemplating treatments. They were talking about maybe where a patient sends his results via fax machine to another doctor or to a doctor and vice versa. And they cautioned then that bear in mind that information sent via email or fax could be intercepted. As at 1998, we were not talking about hackers the way we are talking about them today. There are some people wake up in the morning and their occupation, criminal though, is hacking. Either institutions or individuals looking for sensitive documents and information to thwart the person's plan or embarrass the person or whatever reason. Now, these are challenges of telemedicine. But when we look at the challenges and the advantages, we tend to agree that the advantages outweighs the disadvantage. For example, persons in remote areas. The other day, I don't know whether it was in this class or one of our webinars, I talked about 3 major delays that leads to death of patients. One is delay at home. Not that they delayed on the day they want to go to hospital, no. Delay at home is that somebody might have been seeing some symptoms and the person does not deem it necessary to go seek health care, to go run a test. The person feels, okay, as far as it's not paining me, there's no problem. The person waits for 4 years, for 5 years before presenting to the hospital. At that time, the internal damages has already been done, or the ailment has moved from stage 1 to stage 2 and probably stage 3 before present. That's delay at home. Then we talk delay on the way. Access to healthcare, ease of access to healthcare. You discover that there are persons who live in so much remote area that before they can make it to the city where a hospital is, that we attend to them, it becomes a serious challenge. Then we now talk about delay at the hospital. That somebody who has gotten to the hospital, I don't know, there is a case flying about. I don't know any of you that have stumbled on the incident at UNTH Enugu days ago. Last week, either Fridays, between Thursday and Friday, that incident happened and it has been online since. I don't know if any of you saw that. But the question is, delay in the hospital. Somebody was brought in around 1 a.m. or thereabout the previous day, and by 3 p.m. the following day, the person has not received any form of treatment. And it was an emergency. So these are the 3 delays that could lead to death of a patient. Now, telemedicine takes care of this delay. That is a strong advantage. That while there is no hospital here, why it might take you 8 hours, why it might take you 10 hours to make it to the hospital, there is internet here. Internet. And that this person can access care online. Of course, it depends. What happens basically most of the time is consultation or consultants. You do clerking, then you do prescription. But when it comes to treatment, the person will need to still visit the hospital. So even that initial clerking of the patients by the help over the phone, or when the person here say, no, you can't stay at home, go to so and so hospital. I told us in this class that referral, proper referral, of course, is a valid medical service. So where you have referred the person to a hospital that has the facility and competence to treat, you have provided a healthcare service. And that is one of the advantages of telemedicine. And that is one of the advantages of telemedicine. That is one of the advantages of telemedicine. So if we weigh the advantages, but there is another challenge. Another challenge is issue of competence. How do you know that the person treating you is who he says he is? How do you know that the person treating you is who he says he is? By that I mean, the person says he is a gynecologist. I agree, he's a gynecologist. But as at the time he's attending to you, has he paid his practicing license for the year? Does he have a valid practice license for the year? Because healthcare professionals, you are supposed to renew your license at least latest on the eve of the anniversary. I think I've given that example here. Let's assume your license will expire on 31st of December. You are supposed to have resumed it on the eve of the anniversary. You are supposed to renew 1st of January. The anniversary is 31st. So latest by 30th, you are supposed to have renewed your practice license, or at worst, 31st night. But the challenge is 31st night will most probably be a public holiday or a weekend. Who is going to be in the office to attend to you? If not public holiday, it could be Christmas holiday. Offices have shut down. Who is going to be in the office to attend to you? One. And while you do not have license, an emergency call comes in. It could not even, it might not be far away. It could be your next neighbor. If you start treating that person at that moment, you are operating as a quack because you do not have a valid practice license as at the time you took up treatment of that patient. So if someone registers a company, a telemedicine company, and just engages doctors, gets a cardiologist, gets a gynecologist, gets a nephrologist, gets different doctors. But your case is not, he doesn't have a specialist in that field. Maybe neurosurgery. He doesn't have a neurosurgeon. And that person, or maybe the cardiologist now begins to ask you questions about brain or head, or yes, about the brain or spine. You see that there is the likelihood of impersonation, or not impersonation per se, or unauthorized practice, or even outright malpractice is high when you are dealing with telemedicine. Sometimes it comes via referral. Okay, your friend referred you to the person that treated him or her. Then, because you people are not, if the person, if you had gone to the hospital, especially government hospital, you will see that they used to write the ward name or the department. You can at least know this is where I am. Or from your case file, they will certainly send you to the right place. But here, all you know is that this person is a doctor. And most times people do not go into asking questions, what is your qualification, what's your specialty? So it becomes a challenge. Because as a doctor, you are supposed to have your valid practice license at all material time that you practice. What that means is before the expiration, you would have renewed so that it continues to be valid, because you can get a call anytime. So that is another challenge. Then we now come to issue of data protection. Of course, the Data Protection Act has already done a wonderful job in terms of data processing, data officer, and data subjects and all that. So we do not have so much problem there. But there is also a big problem where the data is stolen, where the data is mismanaged, or you go through the National Health Act. Section 27, I think, takes care of that, handling of patients' data. You said that the regulatory frameworks you mentioned are not enforceable. I think at this juncture, I need to correct that. Is it here? I think it's under the second presenter that talked about regulatory framework, or was it the first presenter? I think it's the second presenter that talked about some regulatory frameworks and mentioned the FDA, and now said they are not enforceable. When you see regulatory frameworks, these are enforceable laws that regulate the practice. For us in Nigeria, we have the National Health Act that regulates healthcare service delivery. The National Health Act did not specifically cover telemedicine, but when we talk about patients' data, the National Health Act, under the rule of confidentiality, has covered the handling of patients' data. So we cannot say we do not have laws. We do not have express telemedicine acts, which ought to be in place now because of what AI is doing now and what technology generally is doing. So we ought to have not just AI, not just an act regulating artificial intelligence specifically, but of course, let me let you know, maybe that is why I pray it covers it, even though I have not seen that bill. The Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, which is the Establishment Act that establishes the practice of medicine in Nigeria, it has been before the National Assembly for more than 3 years now for amendments. Unfortunately, the Senate passed that bill, but it has been before the House of Reps for concurrence, and that bill has not been passed. May just be where I want to believe that there will be a section or a clause in that bill that provides or covers telemedicine in that bill, given, and also the use of technology in treatment, given where we are now, technology-wise. I have not seen that bill, but this is my supposition. So, what are other challenges we have with telemedicine? One is internet technology itself, power. When we talk about power and energy, of course, you need to charge your phone or your device. Where your doctor, some countries, they are 8 hours behind or ahead. Some countries, they are 10 or 12 hours behind or ahead. Then where the doctor has given you an appointment, his own 9 a.m., which is your own maybe 12 noon or 4 p.m. here, and you woke up, the doctor is calling, your device is not charged because of absence of power. It becomes a major challenge. Then another issue or challenge, our rural dwellers, sometimes they don't have internet facility. We have said an advantage is that telemedicine can bridge the gap. Time, it is timeless. It saves you the time of going to the hospital to queue to obtain card from here, go here, make payment, go here, confirm payment. That time is saved for you. But now, on the converse, we are now saying that where there is no internet, for the person in the remote village to access telemedicine, it becomes a challenge. Now, where there is internet and illiteracy, lack of exposure, bars the person from manipulating his phone or getting in touch. So you see that illiteracy is also another challenge. Then we talk about monitoring. The Medical and Dental Council monitors or regulates the practice of medicine. Yes. There are different government agencies that move occasionally from one place to another. They even NMA, they have different committees that visit hospitals for one reason or the other. It could be to checkmate quack. It could be for standard assessment. It could be for any other reason. But this one now, monitoring, becomes an issue. Because if you took a doctor to a Medical and Dental Council, the doctor can give you his case notes of what he has done. But here, everything is online. You might tell me, yes, the doctor is supposed to be documenting what happens where he did not. So another issue is monitoring on two grounds or on two folds. One, monitoring to ensure that the people who are practicing telemedicine are all accredited to practice telemedicine. If you hear that there is one doctor in one remote area practicing and you are suspecting he's fake, the relevant agency can mobilize and go to that place. You can lay ambush and catch the doctor. But where the person is operating online, you might tell me, yes, you can track him. It is possible. But how easy and how long will it take you to get that done? How will you know the dates that he has scheduled with the patient, where he will be? So, issue of accreditation comes in. The person might have been registered as a doctor, but does he have license as a telemedical practitioner? So these are a few challenges. Then we go to our second presenter. Beautiful presentation. Legal issues in emerging healthcare technology. Who is responsible? I mentioned the case here last week where you can plead and hold the, what's it called? The manufacturer, where a manufacturer manufactures substandard medical equipment and it is used on the patient and the patient gets injured or the medical equipment does not serve the purpose. An issue of liability comes up. Is it the hospital that we hold liable or the manufacturer? It is the same thing we are talking about here, where a healthcare technology misbehaves or malfunctions, gives wrong reading, and based on that reading, a prescription is made or a line of treatment is developed. Who is held responsible? What are the legal issues here? We look at, okay, there was a US case, it wasn't medical, that was legal. Somebody used ChatGPT to write final written address and submitted to court. And of course, ChatGPT generated its own cases with citation to match the guy's arguments, and the guy filed that final written address. When the court began to read his final written address, the court realized that this case that was cited does not exist. Firstly, the lawyer was called upon to supply the court the authority. Where did you derive this authority from? And he confessed that it was ChatGPT. So you see the challenge, that it is possible that there could be an inherent error that makes that particular equipment to read wrongly or give wrong results. And you know that in healthcare, wrong diagnosis is equal to wrong treatment. There is no two ways about it, because what we are going to treat is based on the diagnosis. So if the diagnosis is wrong, the treatment will ultimately be wrong, and something will go wrong with the patient, except if it is discovered early. So we are now looking at legal issues surrounding healthcare equipment or technology. I think this is where you talked about the framework. Now I'm saying that frameworks, there could be regulatory frameworks, there could be policy, there could be legal frameworks, there could be policy frameworks, there could be institutional frameworks. All are regulatory. They are not mutually exclusive, meaning where you have legal, you will not have institutional. Where you have institutional, you will not have policy. No. The frameworks you have put out here are legal frameworks, and they are binding. The National Health Act 2014 and National Data Protection Act 2023, they are all acts of the National Assembly. I'm restricting myself to Nigeria now. And they are binding. A contravention of any of these acts will lead to, of course, legal consequences. Then, issue of ethical implication. You mentioned testing, using people for scientific research. Now, one of the rules or ethics of research is that you must, it is not negotiable, you must obtain the valid consent of the research subjects if their names or by reason of description, their personal information will get out there. If you are doing specific research, for example, drug testing, you must obtain the valid consent of that patient or that subject. But where it is, let's say you are doing broad sampling, you want to know the number of persons that tested for HIV in FCT in the month of September. And hospitals have been instructed, laboratories have been instructed to get this data. It is just data. No names attached, no face attached, no description. So, laboratory A, 3 people walked in today to test for HIV. or in the course of, yeah, he screened, and out of the 3 that came, that he screened, not just people who came for HIV, any test you are doing, just say any blood test, screen for HIV. So out of the 3 that screened, 2 has HIV. Out of the 3 that screened, 2 has HIV, and you put 1 male, 1 female. You are not obligated to get their consents because you are not attaching their name. We are not disclosing their identity. We are not even making any description. It's just numbers. 1 male, 2 female. At the end of the day, at the end of the month, you compute and you see that maybe 28 male and 32 female tested for HIV is respectively. At that point, you have not breached any code or rights. Sorry, excuse me. Let me attend to somebody. Okay, so you, at that moment, you have not, but you see cases where you go to hospital, particularly teaching hospitals, there are doctors on residency, and they are working in teams led by a consultant. Sometimes they come and talk to the engage a patient, ask the patient his medical history, family history, everything. Use the pay because it is a teaching hospital. The residents have to do practical to learn. Of course, they have to use patients to learn. But what we are saying here
Hello everyone. Sorry once again. We hope to have him back with us shortly. Mr. Ebenezer will be joining us shortly. Sorry once again.
Okay, sorry. I think the internet is reminding himself what he's supposed to do. Okay, my laptop is still coming up or not coming up yet, so I will just use my phone to conclude the class. So I was saying that where there is need for research or to test, you have to seek and obtain valid and informed consent of the subjects of research, where it is, of course, human subjects. So the issue of whether or not is not there, except where their identity will not be disclosed in whatever form, where their names will not, is just random research that is being done, their identity will not be disclosed, will never be known. At that point, there is no challenge. Then on issue of ethical implications, of course, privacy, consent is paramount. Psychological implication and impact. You are supposed to counsel. You are supposed to actually counsel and prepare their mind that there is possibility that there could be a side effect because you are testing. You are supposed to, if you go and read the Pfizer case, that a drug was tested in Kaduna that killed many children. Nigeria was compensated in that case.
Hello, sir. Can you hear us? It seems your network has gone off again. Sorry for the extended silence, right? He would be joining us shortly. He has gotten back to me that he is resolving his network issues. So once again, we apologize. Uh, please let's just hang in a little bit while we wait for him.
The cloud has started changing, so let's quickly do before it logs us off. Okay, so next is regulation and licensing. At the moment, Nigeria does not have a direct law covering the use of artificial intelligence as an act. However, there is an agency, there is a national policy on AI, and a bill is being put together in that regard. But suffice to say that generally we are not where because the world is moving at a pace faster than the speed of light. What is happening in the artificial intelligence or AI world is moving at a pace faster than the speed of light, such that you sleep today and wake up tomorrow morning, you are seeing entirely something different. Let me shock you people. Do you know that within the week, which country? A country, God help me, why would I forget? A country appointed AI as its minister. It's appointed artificial intelligence, the way you have for minister of education, the way you have minister of education, minister of information. That is where artificial intelligence has gotten to. That they appointed an AI. God, why should I forget? Just wait, give me a few minutes.
It's Albania, sir.
Good, thanks for the reminder. Albania appointed AI as its minister. So the way you have Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Information, Minister of Health, you now have maybe Minister of Technology is AI, is not human. So that is where we have gotten to. Now, if that is where other countries of the world are now, you will discover that Nigeria is far, 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 far behind. That as we speak, we are still saying that there are no specified laws, or there is no specific laws governing this area of importance. How we relate with AI, how we engage with AI, what we do with AI, issues of liability with AI. So it is a big lacuna, and I think we should take it up as a challenge by bringing up a bill along that line. Yes, I am taking this up. My organization is taking this up as a challenge to put up a bill to fill this gap that we do not have. With all that is happening in the world, we do not have a law regulating our engagement with artificial intelligence as it relates to healthcare service delivery. Then, of course, issue of data ownership and intellectual property, I have settled that. But for me, the height of this research is bringing up this Nizamia case because it is unreported. By that I mean it has not entered law reports. The suit was filed in 2024 and the judgment delivered in 2025. I think sometime around May this year. That was when this judgment came up. And I commend the group for the depth of their research and bringing up this case. This particular case settled the issue of local standing. Of course, you already know what local standing is. What authority do you have to bring an action? Under what platform? Under what ground do you have? What is your interest that makes you think the court should hear you? On what are you standing to maintain this action before the courts? And the court in this case held that the claimants had local standard to bring this action because they are saying if we are putting CCTV camera everywhere, if you are obtaining patients' data, you should be able to get their consent. One, yes, they are coming to your premises, but they should be aware you don't come and hide CCTV camera because you are breaching their privacy. So the court held, yes, they had a local standard because this action qualifies as a public interest litigation. However, they did not establish a breach of data privacy. They did not establish a breach. Yes, we have gotten the data, but did we breach it? Did we breach the data privacy laws? So for me, the takeaway for that on this thing is that we can even maintain an action now. We have the local standard to maintain an action where you feel that the way CCTV camera was used in getting your information or getting your picture or your person, if you think it was a breach, you have a right to maintain an action. For me, that is the takeaway. So do we have questions? Any questions? I've noticed that this class does not ask questions. Why? Maybe I will start asking my own questions. You don't say that says I don't have any questions, sir. Okay. So Shekinah writes, Eniola, do you have any question? Oluwafunke and Jorim, do you have any question? Priscilla Anyanda, Joy, Agboade, Mary Smart, Nneka who?
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes. Good evening. What's your surname? What's your complete name? I saw only Neka.
Okay, my name is Waneka Okwe.
Neka Okwe.
Okwe. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
OKWE.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 Is it Abia or Ebonyi?
Delta, sir.
Okay, Delta. You can be. So ask your question.
I have a question. Thank you
Ask.
so much for the class. My question is, in the event of like cross-border, like when a doctor is administering such services cross-border, do
Yes.
you
Which body
what?
we has jurisdiction?
Yeah, exactly.
Which
That's my
country has?
question.
That is a
Exactly.
very
Law.
brilliant question. Which country has jurisdiction where a doctor is administering cross-border telemedical treatments? The doctor is in America or is in Germany or is in Cotonou, and the patient is in Nigeria, and there is a malpractice, there is negligence. Which country has jurisdiction? I believe that it will be the country where the doctor is registered to practice. Note again, the Medical and Dental Council regulates only doctors, not hospitals. So, and each doctor is registered in a particular jurisdiction. Because it is now on air, you cannot set boundaries within the air. But if a US-based doctor that is registered to practice in California renders a medical service and there is an issue, you take him to their medical disciplinary agency, disciplinary organization, so to speak. Do you understand me? If a
Yes.
Nigerian doctor registered in Nigeria, administers and is practicing in Nigeria, and he provides telemedical service for a patient in Ghana, and something goes wrong, that patient should report to the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, because he is under their discipline, not the Medical and Dental Council equivalent in Ghana. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes. So every doctor is registered and licensed to practice from somewhere. If the person is a Nigerian doctor, but registered and licensed to practice in UK, and he provides that treatment, some people can have dual registration. There are some lawyers that I know a lawyer who is called to bar in Nigeria, called to bar in America, called to bar in England. So the person can practice in 3 jurisdictions. But you know, in America, it is state by state. You can be practicing in, let's say, Washington, and not have license to practice in New York. So you maybe have to be called to New York bar again. You need to write the exam. Then you may need to write for each state you want to practice in. But for medicine, you can be licensed in Nigeria and be licensed to practice in UK. So when you are in Nigeria, you practice. When you are in UK, you practice. So if such is the case, and the recipient is also a Nigerian, maybe based in Nigeria or outside UK, but not in Nigeria, you can either drag the doctor to Nigerian Medical and Dental Council or to the equivalent in the UK. Any other question, please? But that your question is a brilliant question. Very brilliant. Any other question?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Priscilla.
Good evening.
Yes.
No, this is Bolanle. Bolanle Alashe.
I thought Priscilla brought up an icon or she raised her hand. Okay, Bolale, go ahead with your question.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, sir. So,
Good evening.
during the course of the class, you mentioned that a medical practitioner should always ensure that his license is maybe renewed if
Valid.
it has expired.
Yes,
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 valid, exactly.
yes.
So, if he has not renewed his
Renewed.
license, the
Yes.
moment from then on, if he practices, he's practicing
He's
as a
practicing
quack.
as a quack. Yes.
Yes. So my
Yes.
question is, in the event of emergency, what happens? Because I mean, the NHA says that a medical practitioner should not deny a patient care or refuse them care in emergency
As at
situations.
that time he's practicing, do you think he's seen as a medical practitioner? No.
Okay.
A medical practitioner is anybody whose name is contained in the register of practitioners.
Okay.
Do you understand? One, and has been issued a license to practice. So at the moment of that emergency, he does not have a license to practice.
Okay.
So he should do nothing. Because if anything goes wrong, if he does anything, whether right or wrong, he can be sanctioned for practicing medicine without license.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And it's a
Thank
serious
you.
offense for practicing medicine without license. It's a serious offense.
Okay.
Yes, Priscilla.
Okay, so I wanted to ask that in a situation where
Go ahead.
a technological the word is not coming to mind, but where the algorithm of technology fails, who takes the practitioner?
Where the algorithm of technology fails, let me understand you. Do you mean to say maybe where a reliance is placed on a technological device and it gives a wrong result?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the manufacturers will take liability. That does not exonerate the doctors totally. That is where third party comes in. The doctor can push his defense to the manufacturers. The person you're suing is because you, the patient, you don't know that the equipment malfunctioned. You do not know. What you know is that you engage the service of this doctor and you don't even know the equipment is using to treat you. All you know is that you got a wrong outcome. So you take on the doctor. The doctor, as part of his defense, can now say, this is what happened. So we can now spread the liability, depending on the extent of damage, depending also on the extent of the negligence of the doctor. If it was what the doctor ought reasonably to have dictated, the doctor will be liable. But if it is an inherent error in the machine, then the manufacturer will be liable. But let me shock you. Here we don't push our cases to that length. And it is unfortunate. Yes, there was a hand up. Whose hand was up? Okay, Adiola.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So I want to ask a question about where a telemedicine doctor prescribes a drug that has been banned in that patient's country, like who is legally liable or what should be done in this case?
Now, we need to get, sorry, excuse me. We need to get how consent, I say consent, negligence works. It is not just that he prescribed the medication he prescribed. If it is banned at the moment he prescribed it, but caused no harm to the patient, the degree of liability is reduced, but that does not totally exculpate him. Now, one of the things you need to do as a healthcare professional is what we call continuous professional development trainings. To know what is the latest, That's why it's important you see them attend conferences, both nationally and internationally, to upgrade their skill and knowledge. So where there is a prescription of an outrightly banned medication in that country, it means that the patient, that the doctor is not at the cutting edge of his skill and care. He's a bit rusty. He's still relying on old, outdated knowledge and information. And if there is any harm on the patient, the healthcare practitioner will be liable.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Because that's as at the time you prescribe that treatment, it is no longer, in fact, it is no longer a recognized treatment protocol. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next. Any other question? Okay. I can't see any other question. Mr. Dennis, over to you. Have you taken your pictures?
Not yet, sir. I'll be doing that now,
Okay,
sir. Thank you very
because the sky has been rumbling here, so that this thing doesn't log me out again.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you so much, sir, for making out time to help us run through today's class and also help us attend to questions. For the mentees, please let's quickly turn on our videos quickly for our pictures.
You know, a lot of you have not introduced yourself, so let's see if we can take that on Sunday.
All right, sir. We'll do that on Sunday. All right. Thank you, Adeola. Thank you, Olua Fisayomi. Can we have more people turn on their videos if that will be possible? All right, we're done, sir.
Okay. See you guys on Sunday. Good night, everyone.
Nice, sir.
Yeah.
Night, sir.
Good night. For the mentees, before we go, right, I'll be sending your task for the week this evening. So please, by Friday, if you can, I want us to work on the task so that by Friday we'll be able to submit, and then Sunday we would have presentation in class. All right. So please let's pay attention to the group and watch out for the tasks. Thank you very much.